Your belts and suspenders, you're recording also, John?
And yes, I am.
Fantastic. Okay, welcome everybody. And we have a quorum and we're excited to go over our news. And I'm going to turn it over to John, who's going to do roll call, and then we'll get to some other neighborhood news.
Okay, this roll call thing, I'm not too good at, but I need to ask who's here and who's not, correct?
You wanted us each to say our names out loud, who's here, to make it simple? Is that easier?
Well, I've got participants listed. I've got John, Frederic, Carrie, Joe, Chris, RJ Cook, Charlie Buck, Jenny, Meg Wilson, Rick Eilers, and Roger Gray identified.
That's good.
That's sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you've got the form in front of you. Let's see, and we want to go to what's next, John? I think it's the meeting minutes.
The treasurer's report?
Well, we need to approve the meeting minutes.
Yeah, so you shared those on Basecamp, Frederic, is that correct? And you asked people to comment on them, on the meeting minutes?
Yes.
And then I think everybody that looked at it were good. We just made like one adjustment to a name. So did everybody read them? And if we did, then we can call for approval. Is that right?
Exactly. So John,
Okay.
do you want to do that as acting secretary?
I approve.
I motion to approve the minutes for our meeting from July. Does anybody second?
July 11,
Second from
2020.
Roger.
Roger seconded.
Second from Roger. Awesome.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody nay? No nays? Okay, it passes. Thank you. Yes, go ahead, John, with the treasurer's report.
Okay, our current balance in our Home Street bank account is $622.39. There have been multiple reimbursement requests submitted to the city. An invoice for $95.88 from Sage Blue to cover web hosting fees. The invoice from Sage Blue was for services previously provided. That was the previous cycle. It was not submitted for the reimbursement because the P&A had already reached its $500 limit for approved expenditures. This fee is an annual fee that's automatically renewed on August 24th of each year. And once the August invoice is received and paid, I can submit it for reimbursement this fall. An invoice for $180 from Basecamp was also submitted. I submitted the reimbursement request as web hosting fees, assuming it would be covered as a pre-approved expense. But upon review, the city declined the request. It appears to be related to project management, which is not a pre-approved expense. Upon further consideration, the city has decided to make the reimbursement. While this type of expense was not included in the pre-approved list of reimbursable expenses, the city will include this on the list of items to consider adding to the pre-approved list for next year.
So John, in the end, they did not approve for the subscription we're currently on.
No, they did.
They did.
They did.
They
Pardon
did,
me.
yes.
I'm trying to multitask here, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, they initially denied it, but then after working with them, they decided, yeah, it wasn't part of the pre-approved list, but the paperwork that went in, it was approved subsequent to the filing.
Yep. Gotcha.
So there are other expenses associated with yard signs and related equipment. The current amount spent to date is $82.99. The city has a $100 minimum for reimbursement request. So once P&A has exceeded the $100 threshold, I'll be able to submit these expenses for reimbursement.
John, is it $100 per person to be reimbursed or P&A in general?
No, P&A in general, I mean, the city's got a $100 minimum requirement for reimbursement requests. For all
Oh,
of the-
okay, so it's
For
not
all of
that
the
they
neighborhood
want to,
associations.
it's not that they want to have each check be 100.
No, it's got to be at least that much for us to submit the reimbursement request.
Okay, even if it's broken out to several people. Thank you.
Correct. So as always, P&A residents are encouraged to donate to our neighborhood association. So information about projected expenses and how to donate, refer to the Get Involved, I Want to Donate page on our palisadesneighborhood.org website.
Thank you, John. Any questions about finances or anything else? Treasury?
No, but I think that's really great that they reimbursed Base Camp. Thanks, John, for following up on that.
Well, and hopefully it'll be included in next year's pre-approved expenses.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, John. So next on the agenda is the chair report. The announcements, let me share my screen. So some of you may know, or from the newsletter, that we have a series of CPR and first aid classes that Rick Eilers and I and the fire chief have organized. So it'll be like the first Saturday of the month, starting October. If you click on more events, I hope everybody joins and goes to some of these free events. If you go to the web page, you'll see that there's a sign up for class, and then there you can just do it that way. Very simple. There's a stop the bleed. There's a how to be ready for disasters, prepare for ice storm, first aid, and such. Also, what's coming up is the Lake Oswego Emergency Preparedness Fair. So click on that link, and again, encourage everybody to do that. They really do have some great stuff. And, you think you know it all, and I'm always amazed. What you're seeing on your screen here is the earthquake simulator, and Rick can probably talk more about that. We're putting out signs now. Most of you have gotten them to switch out for our yard signs, and it's about wildfire risk prevention. I know it's near and dear to Roger's heart. And let's see, the next item is, does anybody have any questions about any of this?
No, but you had that conversation with the other neighborhoods. So you're doing the Meet the Candidates. I thought that was so good that you were organizing with them.
Thank
Did
you.
you see that? Yeah, that's a
Yes.
good one.
Yeah, so thank you, Carrie. So Meet the Candidates, the Neighborhood Chairs Committee, which is every 2 months, the chairs of all of the neighborhood associations in Lake Oswego get together and share information. And they are putting on a Meet the Candidates for mayoral and city council. And it's the Palisades is hosting it. It's right here at Park Academy on September 21. We'll have it in the newsletter. We'll have it on the website, and we hope people attend that because it's important. We need to elect city councilors who support neighborhoods and, get feedback and listen to feedback and react to it in a favorable way, especially when it comes to big projects, city projects and such, and where our tax money goes. So let's see if we can't get a candidate that supports that. So that's important. Back to the agenda, we have,
Can I mention just briefly on that candidate forum?
yes,
I think this is a spectacular opportunity for Palisades to be seen in the city as at the center of this political season for city council and mayor candidates. And I think it's a great benefit to Palisades within Palisades, so that our Palisades residents see that we're taking action and we're engaged on their behalf. And I think it's also important for that the city see that. And to that end, I'm meeting with Carol Ockert, who is the chair of the Neighborhood Chairs Committee, tomorrow afternoon for coffee to brainstorm how we can get the word out and pack the house at Park Academy. So if any of you have ideas on social media, signs, advertising, whatever, any way to increase the visibility of Palisades in that role, please feel free to call me or text me or email me or whatever. I'm meeting
Thank
with
you.
Carol at 2:30.
thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to hear from Park Academy whether we can put out a sign in front of their academy. But about the event, because you know, this would be good. Any other comments about anything so far?
Yeah, I don't know who's working on it, but it would be nice to know how you're going to organize the Q&A. Like if the chair of each neighborhood association is responsible for asking the questions, or if it's going to be like a town hall, or what we need to prepare on coming into that meeting.
So the answer to that, Carrie, is that Carol Ockert, who is the chair of the Neighborhood Chairs Committee, will
Mhm.
be the orchestrator, if you will, MC, and giving the questions. So having the questions ahead of time really is best.
Great, thank
If-
you.
And Carrie, if you have questions that you would like asked, just send them to me and I'll make sure they get to Carol.
Okay, yeah. And if we have a deadline on that, yeah,
Probably-
so let me know.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think there is a deadline anytime.
Okay,
Right, and people don't really have to sign up. I don't know, Chris, I had suggested having a sign up sheet online so we have an idea of how many people, but Carol hasn't gotten back to me about that, so I
I'll
haven't.
ask her about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dying to give myself more work. I'm just thinking what would be the most beneficial.
And
And
pick up more Palisades subscribers, that would be great.
yeah, it would.
Have we heard who all is running? I know the current council and mayor are running. I haven't heard anybody else.
Rachel Verdict is running again, and Aaron Rapp
Masim, is it Masim?
and Massine, yes.
Yeah, and the mayor. But anybody other than those four.
Right, and this is September 21, and end of August is when the deadline is to submit.
Okay.
So I think Carol's looking for that. Yeah, who knows? Anybody else? Any other questions before we move on? Are there any motions that anybody would like to make? Hearing no motions, Nancy, Sage and I have been talking about, she's accepted to be vice chair if the majority of the board members vote her in, so that she can officially act as chair should I not be available. She's been doing it unofficially, taking care of emails and you know, all that, but I'd like to make a motion for Nancy Sage, Area 8, to be the vice chair for the Palisades Neighborhood Association. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Anybody against? The motion passes. Next is back to me, traffic and pathway. Rob Heap is not available, but sent me his report.
ooh, we sent it in base camp. Good job.
Yes, I'm so thrilled. The way everybody is using Basecamp, I have one place to go. I don't have to hunt for documents, and I really
Yay.
appreciate that. Safe and accessible pedestrian improvements coming, the P&A, there are 2 pedestrian improvements, Meadowlark, overlook to Ridge Point, Treetop, overlook to Fernwood. Feedback is taken at 2 open houses. We had one on the 29th, and a second one will be in the fall or winter. Please attend if you're interested in new projects and then the constructions to begin on 2025. There weren't a whole lot of people when I went there. I went to represent Palisades, and basically they want to put a whole sidewalk either in the right of way, so it would take out quite a few trees, or into the street, which would mean parking on one side of the street would be deleted on the lower half. And then they have other options. So if you walk there, drive there, care about it, let them know.
I think there's also a survey because I saw their signs out with a QR code. And they have a
Right.
survey going on too now.
And those are posted in the area that would be affected. So up on Meadowlark and on Treetop. Before we move on to Stafford Road, does anybody have any comments or questions about this?
Do we have a position on this? When you said you went to represent Palisades? Are
Nope.
we? No, okay.
I don't think we need to. Certainly the residents, they are the ones who should attend and speak up.
Participate. Yep, okay.
Yeah. Wolf Farley was they had quite a few staff. They had more staff there than people, and they seemed very open to feedback. So
What area is that for us?
that would be area 11. And
Okay.
let's see.
Okay.
Let's see if I
I think
can
11.
find map. Okay. So
Is that Rob Heap
Yeah,
area?
I think that's Rob's.
Okay.
it's partly Rob's, and then the part that's Treetop. I don't know off the top of my head. Rick would probably know, but he's probably eating dinner. He's being very silent. All right. Here we go. Oh, it's all in Rob Heaps. Yep,
Yeah.
it's all in 11.
Okay.
So this, I don't know if can you see my cursor or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so those are the areas.
Would we want to send anything out to Area 11 to with the survey via MailChimp?
Yes, Carrie, thanks for volunteering.
That's a good idea.
Don't you think we should rally these guys to have feedback?
Yeah, I know the city has reached out to them, but it's good to do it several different ways. People are busy, it's summertime. This does affect them. I think it's important. Great suggestion, Carrie. Let us know if you need any support for that.
Yeah, I'll look at it next week when I get back into Oregon from Maine.
Oh, right. I forgot you were out of town.
Okay.
Any other comments before we move on to Stafford Road? So Stafford Road safety improvements, City Council unanimously referred to voters, refer to voters proposed amendments to Charter Chapter X solely to allow the project on Stevens Meadows, 9,000 square feet proposed to be needed from Stephen Meadows for the project. Check this site. I'm thinking he means the city website for more information. and it's also available Clackamas County, and there is a link here. So we'll be updating. Joe, would you be willing to add this to the website as a post?
Yeah, that's fine. The link there, can be found here.
Well, the whole thing, we've
Oh,
got,
this whole, oh,
we've got
yeah,
two different projects here.
yeah.
Maybe it could be one traffic post. I leave it to you.
No, that's fine.
It looks like
We can
you've been,
split them up into two separate things.
okay,
Yeah.
whatever works best for you. And I see that you already have access to it because I see your
Yep.
picture there. Yeah.
I'll add a task for myself.
Okay, thank you. And are there any comments on that Stafford Road? Oh, I see.
Nope.
So Rob actually added here, questions or comments, please post here. So if we have comments for him, there's what we do. Were you going to say something, Carrie?
No,
No.
no.
For what it's worth, I attended the city council meeting where this was voted, or I watched it on YouTube, but I did attend the previous meeting where this was discussed. And I talked with the city attorney offline afterwards at length about this and about how the ballot initiative would actually be drafted. I was really frustrated that it looked like the title of the ballot initiative would be should the voters approve a safety improvement project for Stafford Road? Well, that's not the issue. There's nobody that's against that. The issue is, do we allocate part of this natural protected area that's protected by the city charter for the use of paving and street widening, a use that the charter prohibits for protected land? And so my point with the city attorney was, please be honest and transparent in the wording of the ballot initiative so people actually know what they're voting on and not just to vote on a safety project that, of course, everyone is going to be in favor of. And also hanging in the wings is what action the Stevens family is going to take. They mentioned at the meeting that they don't want to be the roadblock that kills this important safety project. But on the other hand, their deed to the city for the part of the site just north of Childs, it states that if the city violates the deed restriction, then the site goes back to the Stevens family, and they're debating what legal action they might take, if any, to force that. So there's still some issues hanging in the wings. I'm anxious to see what the city ends up with for the actual wording of the ballot initiative. It was interesting. I should mention Scott, what's his name? Scott, the fellow who was leading the charge on chapter.
Hambling.
Helen,
Handley, that's right. Scott Handley was at the city hall meeting, and I was amazed that he had no objection to using part of Stevens Meadows for street widening. His only concern was that citizens be involved in the drafting of the actual ballot initiative and the language of the charter amendment to make sure we weren't setting a precedent that could be used by the city on future violations of chapter 10. So I thought that was interesting.
thank you, Chris. John, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I just had a comment about traffic not related to these two items, but I can wait until we're done discussing those.
No, go ahead. We're in the traffic section.
I just want to let you know that I submitted a request to the city to have a speed reader trailer placed on the 2600 block of South Shore Boulevard to monitor traffic flow and speeds of the vehicles heading west. As you know, I did this a couple of years ago, so it'll be interesting to compare the results to see if anything has changed. So the trailer's positioned for 1 week, and then a report is submitted for review. So once I get the results, I'll post it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, I just remembered a neighbor that I talked to when I was moving signs around. She lives on Delwood and Canyon. Here we are. She lives right here. And she and her neighbors are very concerned about the increased traffic and the increased hazardous way people are driving down the street. And they're hoping to get our support in putting a stop sign. So you have to stop. Right now, you don't have to stop, I think, at least in this direction. I don't remember if you have to stop, if there's a stop sign going the opposite direction. Does anybody have any feelings or comments about that?
I see Joe has his hand.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, anything to remind people to slow down a little bit would be great. And living on Canyon and South Shore, I'm telling you, the traffic, the speeds are not getting better. They're certainly getting worse. And it's sometimes I'm just pretty shocked at the speed at which people are actually. I'm looking out the window right now, watching people, and they're coming out of the 25 zone at high rates of speed, heading towards McVeigh. And I don't understand why people think it's actually okay to go through those curves at anything more than 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I've asked for I've had them come out last year to put that trailer in both directions, and I think I shared that information at the time. There was some shocking numbers in there, but of course, no action has been taken. So I'm also going to be submitting a request for some sort of patrol out here, because I tell you what, we can probably definitely pay for base camp and website just with the tickets they would be able to collect from these people down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, I was told last time when we did this that it's not the city's responsibility because South Shore is an arterial collector, and so it needs to go through the state.
The state.
yeah,
And
exactly.
Nancy Sage is really knowledgeable about all that,
So
Yep.
how to do all that.
I'm just assuming it won't be long before I get hit by a car as I walk down South Shore.
But it is the city's responsibility to patrol the road though and keep people
Yeah.
safe. So that's what I'm asking them to do.
Great.
Is
Yeah.
please
yeah.
put people, because I've never seen them here. I've never see any patrols on South Shore, and I'm home all day. So
Yeah. Thank you.
anyways, okay, sorry.
Thank you, Joe and John. No, this is the time and the place to be saying that. I mean, we're trying to be advocates for ourselves, but also on our neighbors.
I have a question about that. This is Carrie. Do we have a way to is there a standardized way to submit complaints for patrol or speed in Lake Oswego that we know how to do it? Do we just email the police department and ask for more patrols, or is there a contact? I know they reacted when you guys wrote the letter last time, right when I was coming on, and I saw for a couple of days there were increased patrols on South Shore, and then of course it died out. But
they actually have a page where you can actually submit.
Okay, good to know.
So I can post it in the chat while we continue.
Or can you put it up on Basecamp, because maybe all of us can complain, or
sure.
put something in.
That could be a good, also a little icon in the newsletter. Did you know?
That's a good idea.
Do this.
There you go.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of which, our subscribership is, I think, over 800, almost 850. And, it's great. And a way above average number of people opening it. Before I take your, Rick, can I just finish on here? So is there anybody here who would object to supporting a stop sign at Delwood and Canyon?
I'd support one.
Okay, great.
I'd support one.
So just to wrap this up, I make the motion to, if we need to, that the Palisades Neighborhood Association Board would support a stop sign at Delwood and Canyon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Actually, sorry, I need to have somebody a second.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Oh.
I'll second it. Carrie
Thank
seconds
you.
it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? The motion passes. Rick,
I just wanted to ask John, when was the last time you had the trailer, the speed trailer down on South Shore? Was it during school or during the summer? I'm just curious the difference between speeds between during school time and during the summertime when everybody's off.
The last time it was down here was the time I had asked for it. So let me grab the email to get you the date range, and I can drop it in the chat here so you have.
Oh, Joe, did you schedule the speed camera? Oh, I thought it was
Yeah,
John.
last year in both.
Okay.
Oh, this new one, that was John. That wasn't me.
Okay, all right.
The last time I did it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I did it, and I did
at
it
the end
last
of
year.
at the end of July.
July. Okay, summer.
Yes.
Okay.
and Joe, you don't remember when yours was, school time or
No,
not?
but I have the email and the initial request in an email, so I'll grab that date real quick. I still have that data.
Great. Any other comments on the traffic report, traffics and pathways?
So I did have one on I was noticing on the webpage, the Palisades Neighborhood Association, there used to be a link to report traffic issues, and I noticed the link doesn't work anymore. Get a page not
Really?
found.
Ooh.
So when you
That's
go to
interesting.
resources, then hit traffic, you get a page not found.
I'm on it.
Okay,
I know
that's
you
what I
are.
figured.
You're awesome, Joe. And it just dovetails very nicely into the next section, which is website. Want to say anything?
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You'll get to enjoy my daughter in the background here screaming. So, actually, oh, this is funny. Zoom thinks I'm playing music in the background because my daughter is singing. So, all right. So let me I'll go ahead and share. So this is the data part of the presentation. Let me go to.
You can share your screen.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to do that right now.
Perfect.
Not sure. Oh, my Mac is going to force me to restart the Zoom because of the sharing thing. So you want to let me do that real quick, and then I'll come right back. So skip over me, and then I'll come in after the next person. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I hadn't allowed my sharing settings for Zoom.
Not a problem.
Yeah,
Emergency. Thank you, Joe. Shall we go over to emergency prep, Rick?
Sure.
We got a lot of great things happening.
Okay, so the fire department is kind of, I didn't really understand what Don was talking about when he said the city council gave some approval or something. I didn't understand what stage that fire department's in. So I don't know, Frederick, did you remember what he talked about? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So when Rick and I met with Fire Chief Don Johnson, I think this answers your question. South Shore Fire Station is extremely out of date and extremely in very poor shape. There's not even any reinforcing bars in the concrete walls. Lots of things. It's just functionally obsolete. So Don Johnson would like support in getting a new fire station rather than remodeling the existing. That wasn't listed as an option in the recent city survey. But in order to get a new fire station, it has to have a bond. And so he hopes to have support from the public. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. I think that just kind of answered that whole line though. That's because I
Yeah.
didn't understand, again, I didn't understand the purpose. I know the fire department's always been under a lot of pressure from budget concerns. And I know there's been talk about not just replacing South Shore, but eliminating South Shore completely, just from a budgetary standpoint. So I think there's a lot of politics involved in this, what happens to South Shore. I remember when Park Academy came in to the Armory. The Armory was sold, and the funds from that sale were supposed to go towards replacing the South Shore Fire Station. But City Council decided to take that money and pull it into the general fund or for some other reason. And again, more politics. And so it'll be interesting just to kind of watch and see how this starts playing out. Maybe at some point, Chris, maybe you can get some inside information too from your son. Maybe that will help too. So
This is Carrie. Before I left Lake Oswego, I did a tour of the South Shore Fire Station. I've been asked to potentially join a task force because I'm on the budgetary committee for the city, and we did a tour and we talked about options. And I'm not sure what the process, if I'm like one of a couple of people they're considering, or if so I need to follow up when I get back. It was kind of rushed right before I was leaving town. They had I think Frederic summarized it well. I met with the assistant chief and then all of the firefighters that were there and their base there. And they also are a little unclear on the initiative, but the city has moved forward with committing to a task force to put together information that would result in the decision to put a bond forward for it. And I would say that that station, as you guys have already said, needs, it's not a remodel, or like band-aiding it together. It is a new station. It's very, and you'll see it when we're all there for our Saturday trainings that we're going to do with them. Like they just don't have enough room. So, and it's old, like things are falling apart. So again, when I get back, I'll follow up with the assistant chief just to see the process, to see who is going to be on the task force. But I do think there is some energy though that's happening based on that survey to take steps with that station.
Meg, you have your hand up? I'm sorry, Carrie, were you done?
I am, thank you.
Cool. I was going to say, so in 2009, when we first moved in here, there used to be a little house right next to the station. The city bought that with the plans to replace the South Shore station and move it onto that spot. So they have the parcel right next to them. So they have room to expand and replace that station.
Yeah, we toured that. We walked out and looked at it. And that is part of the conversation as an option on replacing it in its current position. They definitely are talking about other spots within Palisades. And this is just mud on the wall. Nobody is committing to anything, but there was, brainstorming about other potential locations in Palisades near the up in Overlook and Stafford area, where if there's like opportunity to be up there. So this is like in preparation of a task force looking at all the options. So I just want to let you guys know.
And Rick, didn't you tell me that one of the things that might be thrown out there is to turn it over to Tualatin Valley Fire? So
I brought that up with another person that used to be on the budget committee, and that was something he hadn't heard before. So Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue has been kind of drooling over the Lake Oswego area because of the huge tax base. But typically TVF&R runs 4-man crews, but they would probably go down to 3 fire stations. So anyhow, that's speculation. I think they would pull in more revenue here than what they would expend. So they would like to get this spot. So I think our fire chief is really fighting to hold on to the fire department. Just because, we're kind of a unique city in that we have our own police department. We have a huge payroll. And, I think there's union jobs at stake here too. So like I said, there's a lot of politics going into this decision, whether they keep the station or not. And I think we just need to keep asking questions and see how this plays out.
Yeah, it's a good thing that carries on the budget committee. Rick, did I understand correctly that if Tualatin Valley does take over and the fire station, or the location or to serve us, that it's up to them whether they're going to take care of Palisades people first, even though they're in this area, or they can go take care of Tualatin people?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. I don't know that. No.
That's my personal concern, is that if it's not a Lake Oswego owned fire station, that our neighborhood, Palisades, is not a priority. I don't know, and like Rick said, we don't know the answer to that.
Right.
Yeah, I can
Chris.
probably shed some light on that. The Tualatin Valley subcontracts with several cities to provide fire service, West Lynn being one of them. I don't imagine they would take over just South Shore. They would either take over all fire and rescue services for the city of Lake Oswego or nothing. And
Yes.
if they did, they would be under contract with the city of Lake Oswego to provide that service. And in that contract, it would state what the service levels have to be, what the staffing levels have to be, what the response times have to be, with penalties if they fall below those response times. So and their resources within Lake Oswego would be dedicated to Lake Oswego, the same way Lake Oswego fire resources are dedicated to Lake Oswego. Now, all these cities have mutual support. So if there's a big event in West Lynn, Lake Oswego goes down to help support. So that would still be the case. But also I wanted to add, Carrie may know this already, but the union is still negotiating with the city over contract terms. The contract expired right about this time in 2023. So the firefighters have all been working without a contract for the last 12 months. And they're getting very close to going to arbitration that will hopefully resolve whatever differences they have, and the firefighters will be under contract. But one of the consequences of that, I anticipate, would be a big check going to the firefighters in compensation for what they would have been earning under the new contract, backdating 12 months. That could be a budget hit. But you know what, I'm speaking beyond my knowledge on that one. Just, I do know for a fact they've been working for a year without a contract. My son
Thank you, Chris.
on the internet.
Carrie, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so the last thing I was going to say is, so I actually asked some direct questions about Tualatin Fire District, and the assistant chief said that's not being considered, and then
I'm sorry,
but
Carrie,
I know that
what
it was
is,
not, it was Tualatin Fire District or division, whatever, coming in and taking over LO. So FYI, but that's an assistant chief, not the chief. You guys talked to Don Johnson, so maybe he had more knowledge because he's more dealing with the city. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that
hold on, Carrie. Carrie, let me just clarify. Don Johnson did not mention anything about Tualatin Valley. This is just
okay.
backstory stuff from the past. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. And I didn't say any of that, but just FYI. So, and then the other thing is that they, even if they're dedicated to having two fire stations on the south side of the lake. So, we wouldn't necessarily lose South Shore unless it's being rebuilt somewhere else, but they are dedicated in their mind. And of course, this has to be part of the bond and the task force job, is to make sure that there is a new station built for them. So I don't think we're going to lose it. We may temporarily lose it while something, and again, this is all dependent on the task force and what they propose for the bond, but FYI, they're not trying to eliminate it. They're trying to get better facilities for their fire staff.
Thank you. I have a question for Chris. Well, actually, no, Carrie answered it. It's a moot point anyways. How you know this information about Tualatin Valley, but since Carrie says it's not even on the table, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just from my general discussions over many years with Tim when he was at Malala, and then came over to Laco, how the districts work and how Tualatin Valley works.
Yeah, I figured it was something like that.
Rick is right. Tualatin Valley would love to snap up Lake Oswego.
Yeah.
And when they opened that station on over by Wilco and the U-Haul place over off of Boone's Ferry, I thought maybe that was their kind of their strategic invasion into LO region. But you know, LO they have the boat team, they have the dive team. Those are two
Exactly.
specialties that to my knowledge don't exist at Tualatin Valley. So it'd be pretty hard for them just to step in and take over fire service and rescue service for LO.
Rick, you want to go ahead with the next one unless somebody else has any comments?
All right, I'll jump onto this and then we can keep moving. Okay, so the B2 Week Ready program, I asked kind of the head facilitator of this. His name is David Rudowitz. So I asked him how many, have you held any training meetings for the mid or upper level trained facilitators? These are kind of the people that kind of get the program going, like within a neighborhood association. He says we've conducted 2 community host trainings for a total of 13 attendees. These have been conducted.
Oh, that's great.
These have been conducted as 2-hour sessions. We did one in the evening at Lake Oswego United Methodist Church and one in the afternoon at the Adult Community Center. One of the challenges is finding a suitable venue that doesn't charge, that holds around 20, and with AV support for screens and projectors, stuff like that. So the state was going to print a huge number of these workbooks that you're supposed to use in this program. And I asked him, I said, did the city get the workbooks that the state promised? And how many? He says, I don't know, but I think the city only received 40. And then the Prep LO group received 40. Well, there's supposed to be one for each family in the city. So we got a long way to go to get these books. So they are online and you can print your own. So anyhow, we'll keep that. We can talk about that later. Will the city officially launch the program at the prep fair in September? And he said, I do not know if the city will formally be delivering the B2 Week Ready on their own. Prep LO will be launching at the Emergency Preparedness Fair on September 5th. And we'll have sign-up sheets for those interested in taking the program and or being a community host. So I said, what steps do we need to take to get the program in our neighborhood? He says, through Prep LO, we will have more community hosting trainings informed by the amount of interest and signups at the fair. You can also go directly to the OEM, Oregon Office of Emergency Management, and have someone take the program coordinator training, after which you could run your own program independent of the city. So I would suggest that anybody that can make it to the Emergency Preparedness Fair, you can look at the B2 Week Ready program. If it's something of interest to you, you can sign up to take their 2-hour training class. to understand how it works and kind of put your own little group together. And I would assume that you could probably pick up some of those booklets at that time, the workbooks. So I'll also have a table at the fair. And so I'm going to start watching for faces as you come through on September 5th. So I'm watching.
Rick, are you in touch with Betsy Wheel, who was very interested in being involved in the emergency prep effort in Palisades?
Yeah, we've talked, and she went through the
Sir.
CERT course, and so she was trying to figure out how she can get more involved. So I gave her a lot of suggestions, and she's going to just wait till this fall, wait for the fair and see where she wants to go. So.
Okay, great. I will not step in then. I'm glad that you're on top of it. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Any questions about B2 Week Ready? Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, we're right. We are doing newsletter posts based on yours and Roger's recommendation of doing it in small bites. So we're doing each section, and I think there's 9 total, and we've done 2 thus far. And we are including a link to the toolkit. We are posting the activity that they're providing from the toolkit for that particular activity.
Thank you, Carrie. It looks great on the website.
Oh, good. Thank you, Roger, for the quote.
That's under what section, Carrie? If anybody's looking for
Emergency prep.
it's under emergency prep. So we would go to our association. Nope.
Lead us all
Community.
news.
Community emergency prep. And that's where all the information would be.
Yeah.
All right. This is what I was talking about before. It's next on the list to talk about. So again, under the emergency prep, please check out these courses. Please sign up. It's free. The fire department has generously offered to do this. And if you've already been trained, but you haven't done it in a while, it's just an hour. And anybody of any age, I've seen teenagers and younger do this. It's good for everybody. Next on, does anybody have any questions on that? Next on the agenda is Roger Gray. Any updates about power outages and safety in our neighborhood?
No updates to provide at this time.
Okay. All right, we're done with that section. Unless before I move on back to a website and Joe, anybody have any other comments about emergency preparedness or anything related to that? Okay, take it away, Joe.
Thank you. This time my Mac is prepared to share. So sorry about that.
No, not at all. We're all
Okay.
waiting.
So, all right. So for website, just some updates on just some minor tweaks to the design. This was a collaborative effort between Carrie, Frederick, and myself with respect to getting these kinds of banners pushed up to the top of the site as they relate to the newsletter. So there's been a lot of work between Carrie and I on how to get the newsletter and the site to reflect what's in the newsletter, to get that information really in people's eyes as soon as they hit the website. So we now have the ability to swap this out on an as needed basis. Doesn't require anybody to do any design. They just write a post, put a picture, put some content, and the website takes care of the rest automatically. So thank you for the feedback and the collaboration, Freddie and Claire. Okay. As far as the I have performance numbers to share as was requested. First thing I'm going to share here is just don't get don't get freaked out about all the nomenclature here. I'll just walk through it. It's very straight. It's actually pretty obvious. This is called user acquisition. It just basically counts the number of people that have visited the site in the last 28 days. Okay.
We lost your audio a little bit.
That's because
Better.
my daughter was screaming in the background here. So I'll go ahead and I'll change positions so that it's not so loud, and I'll keep talking. So this is called user acquisition, which effectively just measures individuals. So not necessarily how many times the website was clicked on, but people, which gives you a different view of things. You know, one person can click on many times on the website and register lots and lots of clicks, but at the end of the day, it's one person. And what we're really interested in more is how many individuals are coming to the site. Okay, so in the last 28 days, this has been the daily traffic. It's the breakdown. We can actually break it down based on how they're coming to the site. So I know it's the first time everyone see this, so I'll just quickly explain these. Direct means that somebody typed in the website in their browser. Okay, they type Palisades neighborhood association.org. Email is pretty obvious. They clicked on an email, a link in an email, and they end up on the website. This is all people coming in from the newsletter. Okay, and then the third one is going to be through search engines. Somebody Googled PNA and they clicked on the match from the search result, and they end up here. All right. So in the last 28 days, we've had 300 new users, meaning people that have actually never been to the website before. Okay.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the newsletter is helping a lot. Maybe people seeing the signs and just being reminded to come to the website because of those interchangeable panels. So this is really nice to see. Okay.
Well, and also the website is itself, the design of the website itself is awesome.
Well, yeah, we still got to bring them in though. So it's good. The marketing is the effort to market the website to the neighborhood is definitely working. Okay. So that's all this is. It's just how many people are coming to the website every day in the last 28 days. Okay. The next one is we're going to focus in on just email. I worked with Carrie to help teach her how to use these reports as well for her own insights. She is able to leverage MailChimp to get some insights as to how people are doing. Are they clicking? Where are they clicking? Things like that. And the website, the data collection of the website does something similar. And I taught her to tag those campaigns with a name so that we can see them when we are here in Google Analytics. So the next one is going to be campaign performance. So this is all traffic that has come by way of just campaigns, and campaigns is a generic term. It can be an email campaign. It can be and yard signs. Those are the two campaigns we have right now. So remember the 87 users from the previous one. Here's the 87 users, and they came just from this one newsletter. Okay, from the August newsletter. So Carrie adds that in when she gets ready to publish a newsletter so that the website can collect that information and we can have it as part of our analytics. Out of those 87 people, they've visited 224 different pages on the website. So
that's amazing.
There might be a lot of overlap there, but those 87 people visited in totality 224 pages in the last 28 days. Also in the last 28 days, 6 people scanned the QR code on the yard signs. It's not a lot, but the whole point is people are scanning those, which is great. And from that, it resulted in 17 different pages, 17 page views out of those 6 people. Okay. Questions on this? So the important part here is really just to be able to, mostly to look at the campaign performance for the emails. And I know this is the last 28 days, but we could of course expand this, like how have we done in the last 12 months? And then all the campaigns would show here, and you could see how well the P&A signs do month over month and things like that. So lots and lots of capabilities here. And we're really fine tuning how we collect that data so that we can make informed decisions on how we communicate with our users. Last one is the top pages on the website. This is the most visited pages in the last 28 days. Of course, the homepage is always going to be number 1. And then all news, number 2. And then pet of the month was number 3. So Charlie was the 3rd most popular page on the website in the last 28 days. This is my favorite report all the time, because I think, Carrie, remind me, when we were looking at these last month, we were chuckling. It was it was Charlie Buck. Yeah. he was the most popular. So that yeah, it's these are always kind of entertaining, but these are the top 10. This is pretty normal right here. And then there's always that kind of marquee story in the newsletter, and that's what drives people in. And then there's the rest of the items. The National Night Out was pretty popular in the last 28 days as well, which makes sense. Okay, so that's my report. Thank you.
Joe, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's really awesome stuff. Does anybody else have any comments or questions on that? I want to make real, before we close out, Rick Cook, do you have anything to add?
Just real quick, I'll add something in the chat real quick. It's about the Stafford Hamlet Family Fest, which will be coming up September 7th from 10 to 4. It's a kid-friendly farm game stuff. Actually, want to do a little shout out for Lake Ridge High School National Honor Society students to come down and help us with setup and working the games and doing everything. So it's a great afternoon, and it's a nice way to ease back into the start of school. Thank you, Rick.
Before I sign off or we sign off, I just want to mention about National Night Out. There's a number of them. Some of you, we'd started this discussion before the official meeting, but I'd like to encourage all board members to either host one in your P&A area, host a National Night Out next year in your P&A area, or find somebody in your neighborhood who would be interested in doing it. I sent through the MailChimp, I was able to reach out to quite a few people in P&A Area 3, and we had a fabulous turnout. It wasn't complicated. It was a lot of fun. We had some simple games for the kids, and everybody just brought a dish, and it was really simple, easy, and not expensive. So I'm trying to say, you know, it's a great neighborhood community thing that we can all do or assign somebody else to do in your neighborhood. So and P&A can help get the word out. Anybody else have anything? Oh, I see John's hands up.
I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody to go and visit the Lake Oswego Car and Boat Show on August 25th between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to see some really cool old cars and some real nice old boats. So the boats are down at Thunderleaf Plaza, and the cars are at George Rogers Park. It's free, it's kid friendly, and I'll have my 68 Chevelle there. So check it out.
Thank you. Anybody else? We haven't heard from you, Jenny. Do you want to say anything?
No, I'm just listening. That's it.
You're awesome. Chris
Yeah.
Durkee's got his hand raised.
Are we adjourning or do you want a land use report or,
Oh, I'm so sorry, Chris.
that's all right.
You
Go
also
ahead.
had me down for an update on the bond, but I can do it next time because we're over time.
Chris, how does everybody feel? Is there, should we, I'm so sorry, Chris. I
That's all
should
right.
let Jenny run these meetings.
I'm fine keeping going.
Go
It's
ahead
important that
and give us
everyone
your land
talks.
use.
Okay, I'll blitz through it. If you would share that first image,
Oh, okay, yes.
or if you give me share power, I can do it.
You're welcome to do it. Anybody can share. Do you have it on your computer and then you click share, but I will also look for it. I apologize.
That's all right.
I have it here. All
There,
right.
there. I think I just shared it. It's right. Can everybody see that? Okay.
Yes.
So Ken is down to two schemes. One involves a zone change and this 4-story condo structure in the middle of the site. The other does not involve a zone change and just has townhomes and cottages. So this is the zone change scheme. Basically, what he's proposing is he's going to split the site right here, this north-south line, and everything to the east of that line would be changed to zone R0, and everything to the west of that line would be would remain at R15. The R0 site allows him to build a 4-story structure, the condo, and it allows the higher density that he has here with the townhomes. So this scheme involves townhomes here along Stafford. These are all 2-story, and these are 2-story that have a small front yard here, and then the townhome, and then a little private backyard, and then this is the garage for a detached for the townhomes. This is a private alley, and then this 4-story would be 1 level tuck under for parking, and then 3 levels above in condos, probably about 40 to 42 units. These townhomes down here on the south edge against Receipt are 3-story. And these are all cottage, they call them cottage clusters. These are cottages that are like smaller homes, little cottages that are 2 stories that all have detached garages. So this plan obviously involves a little more traffic because there are more units, but the 4-story condos will have 30% or so dedicated for affordable housing, which is defined as 80% of Clackamas County median household income, which equates to roughly families making less than $77,000 a year would be applicable for the affordable units. And then also he would be setting aside about 15% for age restricted, which would be 55 and older. So this would be a pretty diverse community here. The affordable units and the age restricted would be distributed throughout the whole structure. So it isn't like, well, it isn't like the 3rd floor on the north wing are all the affordables. It's just everyone's mixed in. Nobody has any idea who's who other than they're my neighbor. Let's go to the next image here. And that is, this just shows I'm sorry, this is the largest. It's pretty, pretty crude. That just shows R0 and then the remaining existing R15 zone. Now let's go to the second plan that he's still considering. This is no zone change. The whole site stays R15, and these are all townhomes, and these are all cottages. And in this scheme, these would stay as 2-story. These would be, I believe, also 2-story. And then the cottages are also 2-story. we had a meeting yesterday to go over these with Ken, and Rick submitted some excellent questions, but I want to focus on two. One is, what changes has Ken incorporated that came from the community in this whole series of 7 or 8 community meetings that we've had? And on this plan, I can show you several things that he did. First thing is he moved the 4-story condo back from Stafford. It used to be right here, which was really overwhelming massing height with a wall. It was just not, it was not appropriate for this neighborhood. So he moved that back far away from Stafford. Second thing is, these structures on Stafford are only 2-story as opposed to previously 4. Another one is the affordability and age restricted mix in the condos. That was one of the community comments. People wanted to see that mix. There's a stronger connection to Rasique. You know, this area of Rasique, where the play area and picnic area, this is a tremendous asset for families that are living here. So this common green here, this space provides a way for people to get down to Rasique in a more formal method than just a little sidewalk. He's still evaluating permeable paving, and that would reduce the area of this storm catchment area and be more sensitive to the environment. And he eliminated any connection to Ridge Point. The Bellaterra and Atherton HOAs were really concerned about a vehicular connection between this development and Ridge Point, which is down here, the southwest corner. And he was able to get that thrown out. The city agreed they're not going to require a connection to Ridge Point. The second question Ken asked, which was excellent, is if we zone this half of the site to R0, what protection do we have that somebody might come along and buy this half of the site from Ken and put up 3 or 4 4-story, 50-foot high condo blocks and put 150 or 200 units in this half of the site? And that's an excellent question. And Ken offered in the meeting that he would be willing to cap in their zone request, rezone request, to cap that the condos would be limited to 42 units and that the townhomes would be limited to 24 units with 2-story here along Stafford. Whoop. So I thought that was all good. Also, you may notice neither of these plans incorporate the Bethlehem preschool. The preschool and Ken have mutually concluded that for several reasons, a preschool does not make sense here. One is traffic. Second is financial. And third is parking. They need about, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 parking spaces, in addition to the spaces that are required for all these residences, which is just a non-starter. So they're looking for a new home that would be a new permanent home right now. So that's my report. Any questions?
Chris, this is the old church site, is that right?
Yes, C3 Church. The existing C3 Church is right here in the middle of the site. And this little tree, or not a little tree, it's a big tree. This tree is existing and that will remain.
Okay,
Does he
thank you.
officially own it now? I know there was still, he was waiting for the deal to go through.
He's an escrow. Typically on these commercial purchases, escrow runs over a long period of time with increased deposits and increased conditions and contractual agreements go into effect. So that's still happening, probably for another few months. I'm not sure what their closing agreement is. But he is the only buyer now under contract.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions? Jenny, did you want to quickly say something about? I forget what it was.
Oh, you had asked me to do an update on this, the third and final school bond.
Yes, the school bond. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to report right now. The the planning committee is still, and the school board is in the research phase. There's 2 to 3 different proposals going on. And so they are doing community output, community research. So we won't really hear anything maybe until November. And then the proposals will be put out to the community to be voted on.
Okay, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Meg, did you say something?
No.
Okay. Unless there's anything else, I'd like to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Good night.
Great meeting. Thank you all.